Good evening. We will now call to order the January 13th, 2022 meeting of the Abington Township Board of Commissioners. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioners Brodsky. Here. Commissioner Rothman. Commissioner DePlacido.
Here.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Here.
Commissioner Thompson.
Here.
Commissioner Weingrod.
Here.
Commissioner Henry. Here. Commissioner Zappone.
Here.
Commissioner Carswell.
Here.
Commissioner Spiegelman.
Here.
Commissioner Bowe. Commissioner Schreiber.
Here.
Commissioner Bowman.
Here.
Commissioner Veilly.
Here.
Commissioner Hecker.
Here. Thank you. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you. I have one announcement to make. Earlier this evening, the Board of Commissioners held an executive session for the purposes of discussing a real estate matter. And now we will move to public comment on agenda items. And we will start with those present here in the room. We ask that you keep your mask on while you're speaking, please. Just your name and address for the record, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Rooney. I live in Ardsley. And two things. The first one is as far as the nominations coming up, everybody's aware there's been a lot of controversy with Mr. Klein when he was both on the board and individual interactions. So I personally would like to nominate John DePremio to take that position. And the reason is Mr. DePremio has already served our township. He's done an exemplary job. There's been no criticisms as far as I know. There's been a lot of people who have been very complimentary of his position. He's already been on the board or been on that committee. And I think it is a very reasonable alternative to what's been suggested by that small group. And I wrote that to you earlier today.
I saw that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other comments from members of the audience who are here present?
Yeah, I'd like to say this. My name's Joe Applegate. I live in Glenside on Elm Avenue, and I also recommend John DePremio for that position, too. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name's Paul Morse, Glen Road in Jenkintown, Abington School District. I was disappointed to learn that Stephen Klein is going to be appointed to the Zoning Hearing Board, or at least is up for consideration this evening. And I have several reasons that I'd like to bring up to this board, if you're not aware of them already. One is Mr. Klein has cost the township hundreds of thousands of dollars in a lawsuit due to the mishandling of Colonnade/100 York Road by knowingly violating some ordinances. Number two, Mr. Klein is still involved in a lawsuit against the township with an employee who was moved to another department as retaliation for not being able to return his legal permits. Number three, Mr. Klein publicly admitted to not sending information to a commissioner, a sitting commissioner, which was needed. This information was needed to make a vote. This was done in retaliation for looking into illegal goings-on in the Colonnade. Number four, Mr. Klein intimidated a fellow commissioner in the parking lot of this township building in front of three other sitting commissioners. Again, that was a retaliation. Number five, Mr. Klein is directly responsible for township zoning rewrite that many professionals have serious problems with and find inappropriate. Number 6, Mr. Klein was the subject of a grand jury investigation looking into the colonnade, as well as an investigation by the Attorney General's office. That was stopped only by a ranking public official intervention. Number 7, Mr. Klein applied to the Abington Commissioners, this board, not all of you, of course, this board, 2 years ago for the exact same position, but was not approved by the board due to the aforementioned reasons.
Mr. Morse, you have 30 seconds to finish your comments.
Okay. Number 8, Mr. Klein, as chair of the Montgomery County Planning Commission, would have a direct conflict with our planner since his responsibilities would overlap, causing potential and probable illegal activities in future lawsuits. Mr. Klein is not a suitable candidate for the Abington Zoning Board, and as an alternative, I would suggest Mr. John DePrimo. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Are there other members of the audience that wish to comment on agenda items this evening? And if not, I will ask Ashley if there are members who are participating via webinar who would like to speak up.
Ms. Odenham, your microphone has been unmuted. You'll just have to unmute your device. Susan Odner, your microphone is unmuted. You'll just need to unmute on your device.
Okay, got it. Can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay, thank you. My name is Susan Kahn Odner. I live at 1349 Warner Road, and I've lived here for over 35 years. And I know about something about the colonnade and what's going on. And I am opposed to Steve Klein being involved in anything having to do with zoning regulations and building codes. He's really been unresponsive to the residents and their needs, and even endangering lives there, which is very scary, really. It was so bad that a grand jury had to be called to investigate the problems, and that's cost the township a huge amount of money. So I would really like a responsible, ethical person to be involved in the building codes and zoning regulations. And that's all. Thank you for considering this.
Thank you for your comments. Could you bring in the next resident, please?
I have to.
Jeanette DeMeo, your microphone has been unmuted. You'll just need to unmute on your device.
Okay, I think I just unmuted.
No.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
Hang on.
Jeanette DeMeo, 717 Martin Road.
I can get off of here now, right?
Yeah, 717 Martin Road, and I guess the others before me have said most of what I have to say, that, and I guess I just really don't understand why, this is not a personal attack, but it's just as a result of performance issues with Mr. Klein. I don't even understand why he has been nominated. And, you know, as I sit here, I guess, what was it, a week ago, we saw fires that killed people in apartments that were basically substandard, and to have what is it, a 580 some unit high rise without sprinklers above the second floor is outrageous. So, and I know that everyone else is unhappy about this, and I think moving forward, I think we need to be more transparent in Abington about what is going on. I don't know what has gone on here. I mean, it's really shocked me to see some of the poor decisions at you know, many levels of government here in regard to real estate dealings and whatever. And I'm pretty unhappy about it, and I know others are also. So I would hope in 2022 that we could get back to some level of transparency with all of this. And I think we have a responsibility to also do something about 100 York Road. People are living in there, and there are no sprinklers. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. If you could bring in the next resident, Ashley.
Ms. Lehman, your microphone has been unmuted. You'll just need to unmute on your device.
Yes, this is Laura Lehman in Meadowbrook, and I would like you to tell me when I have 15 seconds left, please, because I would like to invoke one of my rights at that 15-second mark. And I also want to say that I think all of you commissioners know that when I speak or when I write something, I have documents that back up what I say. That doesn't mean I might not have misunderstood something somewhere along the line, but we've been down this road before many times, including Mr. Klein's been down the road too, that I have written everywhere and I include everywhere. If I've made a mistake, please tell me what it is and I will be glad to fix it. So if any of you knows any mistake, anyone listening knows any mistake that I've made that they think is wrong in what I've written or what I've said, I'm encouraging them to let me know, and I will fix it, because I have no intent of spreading improper, incorrect information about anything. And I do really, some of you probably don't know me long enough to know that what I had boxes and boxes of documents from the colonnade that I went through. And every single box was a shock, document after document. To imagine that that information could be hidden when I know that many of you know it, okay? Many of you know all of this stuff. And even when Mr. Luker said in his court testimony that the board prefers not to know because that'll be easier for them, you already knew it, and you can't unknow what you know, which was a phrase by one of the employees who was told to unknow something. So we need to get back to some integrity in this township. Mr. Klein will not bring that integrity, and the record that he has shows it in every way, shape, and form. I have written to you many of the things. Mr. Morse made a very excellent list tonight for you, and I think all of those listening to this do understand that there are serious problems with this candidate. Please appoint Mr. DePremio, who did apply.
Ms. Lehman, you have 15 seconds. I'm notifying you as you asked.
Thank you. I would like to invoke the Sunshine Law 710C1 to tell you that my speaking rights, again, were absolutely taken away. I should be able, at this meeting even, to speak about the documents from January 3rd, but they were taken away on January 3rd, and my rights were taken again at this meeting because I only just received these documents today. And they could, I asked for them on January 3rd and after January 3rd, and I asked to have them without a right to know because they were supposed to be posted, and they were never posted in any way that we could receive them and know that they were there. And so I got them today and did not, obviously, there's huge number of documents there, including Mr. Manfredi's contract.
All right, Ms. Lehman, you have the extra time to state that you will have opportunity at the end of the meeting, a general public comment, to make whatever comments you wish. Thank you. Is there anybody else? Or are we?
There are no more hands
All right.
raised at this time.
Thank you, Ashley. We will now move to the consent agenda, and for that, I will turn to Vice President Matt Vahey.
Thank you, Mr. President. And the first item of business tonight is the consent agenda, which I so move.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The consent agenda passes. We have no unfinished business this evening. Commissioner Manfredi, Commissioner, I just promoted you.
Or
Or demoted you.
or demoted.
That's really, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, I suppose.
I just wanted to make sure, for the record, everyone knows and understands that both Commissioner Rothman and Commissioner Bowl have been present and are here.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, so we will now move to new business. And for the first agenda item, I will turn to Commissioner Carswell.
Good evening. I'd like to make a motion to appoint members to the various boards, committees, commissions, and councils as included in Exhibit A.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Are there comments or questions from members of the board?
Commissioner Zappone.
Yes, Commissioner Zappone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, I have several questions on this topic. Okay, the first one is, when did the interviews take place? The second question is, where were the interviews held? The third question is, who was on the interview panel? And, hold on, let me get down, I'm going down my list here. Okay. I was not given the opportunity to review the resumes. I didn't even see them. Okay. How many other commissioners were spoken to, okay, about the interviews? I knew nothing about this. Okay. So I want to put a motion, okay, to hold off on these appointments until I can review these resumes, okay, and familiarize myself, okay, with the candidates. Okay, I don't know them. I can't vote on any of them because I haven't seen their I don't know their background for these positions. Okay, and at this time, I want to nominate John DePrimo to get back on the zoning, who's been on there for years. Okay, so I need these questions answered now.
Well, we'll get to that, but I just want to clarify with our solicitor. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. And then I heard conflicting things from Commissioner Zappone, that he wanted to make an alternate motion to delay the vote, and then he wanted to nominate somebody else for the zoning hearing board. So I'd need some advice on procedurally what that means.
So regarding the first issue, if Commissioner Zappone is making a motion to table, motions to table are always in order, and if that's the motion that he is making, you would clarify that with him and then ask for a second on the motion to table.
Okay. Commissioner Zappone, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I want to make a motion to hold off on these appointments until I can review their resumes and familiarize myself with their background for these positions, as many of the residents have asked for. Okay? We are all, and all of us on the board, we're all taxpayers in this township. That's my tax money. Okay? So I want these questions answered. So I don't have the answers to them. And I'm being asked.
Commissioner Zappone, we'll get there. We're just trying to clarify
So,
procedure.
Well, not stated as a motion to table. I think what Commissioner Zappone is making is a motion to table. Commissioner Hacker, you should ask if there is a second.
Is there a second on the motion to table? There is a motion and a second. So then we immediately take the vote.
Yes, immediately
Okay.
call the vote.
All those in favor of tabling, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No. Opposed.
Complete disregard for the taxpayers. All right, now I want those questions answered.
Commissioner Carswell, would you like to describe the process?
Yes. Commissioner Zappone, if you mind, I chaired this process, if you will. Going back to July, I don't know if you all remember, but I was on a conference call from Colorado taking care of my father who just had surgery, and we had a lengthy conversation about this process. In advance of the July meeting, President Spiegelman asked me to lead the process. This would be my second time doing it, my third time serving on a team that handled this. At that July board meeting, we discussed the policy that was previously voted on and approved several years ago, and we were looking at making some minor changes in terms of adding more timeline so that we weren't crushed up against the holidays and the budget season and other things that happen in November and December. In September, the manager's office asked current volunteers at the end of their term on all of our boards, commissions, and committees whether they'd be interested in serving again. Several of them said yes. Some of them said no. In October, we advertised for volunteers to apply. This was on the township website, on social media, in the township e-newsletter, and in multiple commissioner newsletters. In October, I asked Commissioner Bowl, Weingrad, and Schreiber to join me in working on talking to all the chairs of our boards, committees, and commissions to seek their input about skills, experience, the diversity that we need on our boards. This was actually something we talked about at length in July. It's something I took great pride in adding to the process because I like to seek input from our experts, and our chairs of these boards, I would think, fall in that category. In November, we pushed the deadline a little further and did some further promotion to get some additional volunteers because we weren't seeing a strong turnout. And in October and November, the manager's office collected applications, including resumes. In November and December, the four of us interviewed the incumbent volunteers first, and then the new candidates over a course of 3 evenings and a total of 12 hours of interviews. So all of you who didn't do that, you can be jealous. In January, we put together a slate of volunteers that have been presented to you all on this night's agenda. Still to be done is the interview of all of the Economic Development Committee and to fill seats on the HRC and the EAC. We did not have enough volunteers that fit the qualifications and the goal for those seats. Each of the interviews, because this came up as a number of questions from emails sent to us, were 15 minutes each because we had 17 current volunteers and 11 new candidates to interview. We worked as a team of 4 to develop questions for our existing volunteers and our new candidates, slightly different from each other because naturally someone who's on one of these boards or committees has some experience that we wanted to ask about. We asked the same 4 questions of each candidate. One of those questions, which I thought was incredibly helpful to those conversations with all of our candidates, was, as a member of this board, you would be one of several members, each of whom will bring a different perspective, background, and analysis to each issue. What can you tell us about what can you tell us about serving on a group and how you have helped work to bring different personalities and viewpoints together to consensus? We had great conversations. We met people with immense talents and skills, including existing volunteers and new folks to our community and new to our boards. We invited every candidate to an interview. 1 chose to postpone to January, and 1 did not attend. We also communicated throughout the interview process with the candidates about when we would be putting together the final slate for this meeting. So, those are all the facts of the process. I'm just going to give you a little bit of my personal background and feelings on this. I was inspired. This is my 3rd time doing this. It is an insane amount of work. I loved every minute of it. I loved working with my colleagues and developing these questions. I loved talking with the chairs of our boards. I had a wonderful experience with the chair of the library talking about where do they want to go and who do they need to help them get there. I had a wonderful time interviewing candidates who brought years of experience and brought great passion, and I brought people who are brand new saying, I'm new, I just got here, what can I do? How can I help? And I think that's really amazing about Abington, that you could have someone who's been here 30 years and someone who's been here a year, and they both love this place already. I'm proud of our work. I believe we acted with full integrity, and I am happy to present this slate for us to consider. Thank you.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back. So again, when did the interviews take place and where? Were they taken at the township building? Okay, and also who selected the interview panel? Who did that?
Commissioner Zappone, we interviewed everybody via Zoom because we're in a pandemic, so we did not gather in person. And what was your second question about the panel?
Yeah, who selected the panel, the interview panel? Who selected that?
So the process that we approved several years ago involved the president appointing someone to head up the process. So Commissioner Spiegelman asked me to do that, I think, in June. And then I asked Bowl, Weingrad, and Schreiber to join me in that process. And what we have done for the last 3 rounds of this is used essentially a committee model, because You can't actually have all 15 people in a meeting to accomplish the work that we do. This is why we use committees. We don't all 15 of us attend finance committee meetings, for example.
Okay, so did you ever consider asking me to be on the panel as the ranking board member? Did you ever ask me? Did you ever consider asking me?
Frankly, no.
Oh, why is that? Okay, here's a ranking board member, okay, it's been on the board for 22 years, that has all the expertise, okay, never once asked to be on any of those panels with my knowledge and background. Why is that? Of course, there's no response. I know why, okay? Okay, I'm done with that issue. I'm done.
Okay. Are there other comments or questions from members of the board, either here or on Zoom? Commissioner Ball?
Can you hear me okay, President Hecker?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Last year, this topic was a hot potato. All the videos were available. Almost nobody watched them. I went through all of the videos. There were very few clicks. We can have an intellectually honest conversation about what people want the process to be, if in fact there is interest in the process. But we did discuss this, as Commissioner Carswell has noted, at length. It was frankly a very heated conversation, professional and respectful, but heated because we wanted to make sure that we had a long runway and that everybody got to chime in and everybody got to commit to the process. We streamlined the questions. We were consistent with the questions. There were 15 minutes. 15 minutes is a lot if someone comes to these interviews prepared, intellectually organized, has a good idea of what they want to do and why they want to do it. And frankly, not everybody answered the questions with equal grace and aplomb. There were people who stood out. And we've had a great conversation. We've nominated a terrific slate of candidates. Concerns about the process are concerns about a person. There are absolutely refinements to be made to the process over time. Yes. Also, yes, we are still in a pandemic. There are a lot of inefficiencies built into everything we do, personally, professionally, civically. This was a process where we tried to make the best of what we had, the time that we had available. We extended the time that, I'm being redundant, but I think it's important to understand that it is disingenuous to, because someone just sort of perked up and paid attention to this, to describe the process as opaque. It was not. There was a process. There also is plenty of, there's plenty of evidence to make the point that this was a hot potato. Nobody wants to be a part of this. This is not about selecting any one particular person or not selecting any one particular person. We raised our hand, expressed some interest in doing it, wanted to help out. I found it of value last year to watch the videos. Here we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ball. Any additional comments or questions for members of the board? Commissioner Spiegelman?
Thank you, President Hecker. I'm not one to correct Commissioner Carswell on very much, but a little slight correction. I think this is actually the fourth time that we've used this process. And for the record, Commissioner Carswell has been involved, very deeply involved in this from the time she joined the board. That is why a long, long, long time ago when I was board president, I entrusted her with this process, and I want to thank her and the other members of the committee, Commissioners Schreiber, Weingrad, and Bohl, for all of your tireless work on this in general, but especially under these pandemic circumstances. And I certainly enjoyed all the following along and all the materials that you provided. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Spiegelman. Commissioner Schreiber?
Just really quickly, I just want to say that I believe how I got to be on this committee was because I was the squeaky wheel that was complaining during the summer about questioning how the process was so much at the public meeting. If anybody goes back on the meeting, you can see how many questions I had. And so I think that's why Commissioner Carswell said, hey, do you want to be on this? And I'm really glad I was. We worked very, very hard, a lot of really late nights where I was like ready to, be laying on the couch in pajamas, but we kept going. And it was hard work, but Commissioner Carswell did a great job organizing it, and my other colleagues on the board had great questions. Unfortunately, we didn't have probably as many candidates maybe as we wanted, but the ones that we had, some of them were really good, and there's only so many people you can fit into certain slots. But there are other openings, as was just said, so we're going to be, I guess, working on that in the next few months.
Thank you, Commissioner Schreiber. Commissioner Bowman.
I echo Commissioner Spiegelman's remarks, and I appreciate the work that you put into this. And I will vote in support of that slate tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowman. Commissioner Weingrad.
Thank you. I was part of this process. Everything that was said, that needs to be said was. I have to tell you that I'm particularly proud of this list, and I'm confident in the abilities of these folks that are willing to serve as a volunteer committee and council people for the township. And I thank you so much to everybody that came out.
Thank you.
To really everybody they just want to come out and help, and I wholeheartedly appreciate that. So, and I wholeheartedly support the list that's out there as Exhibit A. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Weingrad. Are there any last comments or questions? Hearing none. Oh, wait. Who? Oh, Jess,
I'll be
sorry.
brief. I did, in fact, ask Lori Schreiber to join me because she's the squeaky wheel, because I have strong feelings that when you disagree with someone, but you can do it professionally, that you can have really meaningful dialogue, that you can have healthy conflict, that you can come to the best version of what both of you wanted. So I would say to Commissioner Zappone, if you'd like to join us, we have more work to do. We have an economic development committee to fill out. We have a lot more. We have 2 more seats, EAC and HRC. So if you'd like to join us, I would highly invite you to, I would welcome you.
Thank you, Commissioner Carswell. Okay, one last time. Any final comments or questions? Hearing none, we will call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed, Zappone says no.
One
Thank-
opposed. Motion passed.
Thank you. All right, we will now move on to new business. Item B, and for this, I will turn this over to Vice President Matt Vahey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next item on our agenda is BOC-04-011322. It is a motion to adopt resolution number 22-007, authorizing the Township of Abington to enter into the settlement agreement with McKesson Corporation, Cardinal Health Incorporated, Mershorst-Bergen Corporation, Johnson & Johnson, Janssen Pharmaceuticals, Inc., Ortho McNeil Janssen Pharmaceuticals, Inc., Janssen Pharmaceutica, Inc., and agree to the terms of the Pennsylvania Opioid Misuse and Addiction Abatement Trust. And I so move.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. I will open this up for comments or questions from the board. Any comments from those commissioners attending on Zoom? Okay, hearing. Oh, so Commissioner Weingrad.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Can somebody tell me what this is about, or be a little more specific about this, please?
Solicitor Clark.
As was just mentioned in the motion, there has been a settlement agreement between these companies and others regarding their role in the opioid crisis. The settlement funds will go towards addressing the opioid crisis. The types of eligible programs include treatment options, wraparound services for those seeking treatment, prevention effort, and EMS services. The funds which the township will receive must be used for those services, can't be used to fix potholes or budget shortfalls. The settlement states that the local governments, in order to receive the maximum payout, need to get each county government and the largest municipalities to participate. So if we want to be eligible for these settlement funds as a municipality, as a county, as a state, we need to sign on to this agreement. Once the settlement funds are distributed, the money can be used for the purposes that are outlined in the settlement agreement.
When can we expect those funds? Should we sign on and other municipalities sign on?
I do not know. Information has not been provided to us at this point in time about when we will be receiving the money. The county is asking that all of these agreements be signed and executed by the end of this month. I think that then the counties will all report back to the state. So I don't think we should be expecting it in February, but I think it should be sometime during this year.
Okay. Thank you, Solicitor Clark. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Weingrad. Other comments or questions from members of the board? Just want to make sure I don't miss anybody. All right, hearing none, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Okay.
Motion passes.
Next item on the agenda is BOC-050111322. It's a motion to vote to approve the retirement and separation agreement with officer number 2102. So move.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. It says Mr. Harvey's name listed next to it, Manager Manfredi. Do we want to?
If there are any questions, as you may-
Understood. Okay, so are there any comments or questions from members of the board? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Next item on our agenda is BOC-06-011322. Motion to authorize final release of escrow for LD-17-02, LD-20-02, LD-21-05, which is the Rydell Waters Tract, Philadelphia Presbyterian Homes, Inc., escrow release number 1 in the amount of $4,213,544.98. And I so move.
Second. It has been moved and seconded. Are there comments or questions from members of the board?
President Hecker,
Yes, sir.
I believe Commissioner Weingrad raised his hand.
I wasn't sure if that was a legacy hand or not. Commissioner Weingrad.
Thank you, President Hecker. So I believe that this was going to get pushed off till next month. Did something happen in the interim?
No, I think it's a matter of procedure. I think if you want to, our rules of procedure do not remove items from the agenda. It has to be done in public. I think if you would like to have a motion to table this to a date specific of February 10, you can make that motion. If that motion is seconded, that would be voted upon, and that would supersede the motion that was just made.
Okay. There are some, as far as I know, there are some outstanding issues regarding Rydell Waters. I thought my understanding is they were going to be discussed either next week or the week after.
Commissioner Weingrad, if I can interrupt for a second, I would advise that you either make a motion to table, and you limit your discussion on the basis of your motion to table, and just make a motion to table, or allow the motion as presented on the floor to go forward.
Okay, then flat out, I'm going to motion the table to the February 12, 2022 meeting by the Board of Commissioners.
Second.
All right, the motion to table has been seconded, so we will immediately vote on that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the matter has been tabled. Manager Manfredi.
Just to be clear, I believe Commissioner Weingrad, it's February 10.
Okay.
I'm sorry, my apology, February 10.
So the next regularly scheduled Board of Commissioners meeting? Okay.
Correct.
All right, the matter has been tabled. We will proceed.
Next item on the agenda is BOC-07-011322, a motion to authorize the sale of township property, including used vehicles and equipment, and described in the exhibit. And I so move.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Are there comments or questions from members of the board? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is BOC-08-011322, motion to appoint Maley LLP as the accounting firm to prepare financial audits and tax returns for the 5 Abington Township Fire Department fire companies for fiscal years 2021 through 2023. Total costs for these services are for fiscal year 2021, $35,000, for fiscal year 2022, $36,250, and for fiscal year 2023, $37,500. And I so move.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there comments or questions from members of the board? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is BOC-09-011322, motion to appoint Michael Roberts and Michael Gadara from the Civil Service eligibility list to the position of police officer effective January 24th, 2022. And I so move.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from members of the board? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Commissioner Bowl.
Aye.
Oh, Commissioner Bowl
Sorry,
has his hand
gotta-
raised.
gotta-
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, we're
We
good.
started it. That's okay.
Thank you. All right, so let's repeat that again. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is BOC-10-0111322. It's a motion to approve an agreement between Holy Redeemer Health System and Abington Township Police Department, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I will ask if there are any comments or questions for members of the board. Commissioner Ball, Commissioner Weingrath.
Thank you. I mean, I generally agree with this agenda item. I have a question, maybe Chief Malloy, or I don't know who from the police department is on, but my interest is this. Are we looking, in terms of a dedicated officer, are we looking for an additional officer that we didn't expect to have in 2022? Or is it just that the hospital system's paying for one of the current members of the police force?
Commissioner White?
Freddie, is all right for me to answer this, or would you like?
No, would you please?
Yep. Commissioner Weingrad, this will not require us to hire an additional officer at this point. With the appointment of the 2 officers tonight, that brings us to 91. We will very shortly be back down to 90. So this agreement, they approached us in the summertime, and at that time we had staffing challenges and we're not able to do that. So we will be able to do this with the existing staffing, and we will not add to the number of officers.
Thank you, Chief Malloy. That's all the questions I have. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Weingrad. Any other comments or questions from members of the board? Hearing none, all those in favor? Manager Manfredi.
Before you vote, the reason that Chief Malloy deferred to me first was because I wanted to just make the board aware of the proactive approach that the CEO, Mr. Lane of Holy Redeemer, has taken, not only with respect to this issue in working with the department and Chief Malloy in working with the administration to make sure that this agreement and everything in it was transparent so every board member could see it and understand, because it is integral to the police department and the service that they deliver. But Holy Redeemer is a critical partner. They are willing to continue to work with us on this agreement as it rolls forward, as well as all of the other agreements that we have with them. And I just wanted to thank Holy Redeemer as well as Chief Malloy.
Thank you, Manager
My apologies
Manfredi.
for interrupting.
That's okay. I seem to be a little quick to the trigger this evening, so. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. In the absence, well, the Finance Committee has not yet reorganized, and so until such time as that happens, we will turn back to Vice President Matt Vahey for the Finance Committee portion of this evening's agenda.
Thank you, President Hecker, and I'll turn to Jay Blumenthal, our treasurer, for his report.
Thank you, Commissioner Vahey. My last time with you ahead of it, right? So, moving forward, we spoke about the amount of real estate taxes brought in the month of December of 2021 of $30,517 compared to $116,720 of December of 2020, which is a decrease of $86,203. Now, with that said, we're still at a year-to-date of 98% with a 2% balance. Very typical, as I've said in all the previous years I've been tax collector. That's the common amount that's repetitive throughout Montgomery County, the 98% collected, which is a good thing. Moving on to the report dealing with the amount of revenues deposited in the Republic Bank for the month of December 2021, which was $1,826,881 compared to last year's of $1,358,298, which is an increase of $468,583. And if you look at the prior year-to-date for the year 2020, there was a total amount collected of $74,526,404 for year-to-date. No, that's the current year-to-date, excuse me, I apologize. Compared to prior year of $61,662,257, we have an increase over the prior year of $12,864,147. That is my report. I'd be happy to entertain any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Treasurer Blumenthal, and congrats on another 98% collection rate.
Thanks.
All right, and the final item on our agenda tonight is FC-01-011322. It's a motion to approve November 2021 expenditures in the amount of $4,073,294.84 and salaries and wages in the amount of $2,025,562.58 and authorizing the proper officials to sign vouchers and payment of bills and contracts as they mature through the month of February 2022. And I so move.
A roll call vote, please.
Second.
Commissioners Brodsky? Rothman?
Here. I mean,
That was earlier.
but I had to make up for it when I didn't get to say that earlier. Sorry, guys, but glad to help laugh.
DiPlacido?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Thompson?
As an employee of KCBA Architects, I'd like to recuse from the vote as there is an invoice from the company that I work for in the packet.
Weingrad?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Zepone?
Yes.
Carswell?
Yes.
Spiegelman?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Schreiber?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Vahey?
Yes.
Hecker?
Yes. Motion carries.
And that, Mr. President, that concludes the business of the Finance Committee for this evening.
Thank you, Vice President Vahey. We will now open the floor to general public comments, and we'll start with members attending in the room.
Hi, Joe Rooney again. A couple of quick things. First off, as far as I understood, Commissioner Zepone made a nomination of John DePremio, but it was never even considered by the board. I didn't understand that part. And second, I noticed Commissioner Carswell was mentioning how they look for a wide and diverse range of perspectives, and they asked Commissioner Schreiber to get on the board, but nobody ever asked a Republican to get on the board. So I guess there's some perspectives that aren't invited onto it. And I didn't understand that because there's a board that's made up of Democrats and Republicans, even if there's a minority, and usually minority is some representation on commissioners. I don't get that. From the last meeting, still don't know, I haven't gotten an answer, why wasn't there a copy of the manager's contract or an agenda packet? So that wasn't addressed, it was asked at the board, there wasn't even a courtesy of a reply given to that. And there's no minutes, the last minutes for December 9th, not for that meeting that we already had this month. I didn't understand that either. I hope you all got your open meeting service. If people are watching, I got a lawsuit against the commissioners and individually for open meetings law violations, and I still think they're going on right here with, obviously, Commissioner Zappone wasn't fully informed of all this stuff, and I think other ones weren't also. So we'll stay tuned for that, and I hope you all have gotten that already. I look forward to going forward with that. Finally, for let's see, I got a minute and a half. On new business item 1D, and I know there's all kinds of new speaking rules that are meant to try and keep the people who actually pay the salaries of everybody and live in the township from talking. And I'm still trying to understand them personally. But what I did notice on item 1D, when an elected commissioner, Weingrad, was talking, somebody that's not an elected commissioner or the president was able to interrupt them. And I'm trying to find out, what are those rules? Is it if you don't live in the township, then you can interrupt a commissioner when the commissioners are having a discussion? Are residents allowed to, or are folks who aren't commissioners and are having a commissioner discussion, who's allowed to interrupt? Like, so if I disagree with Commissioner Weingrad or someone else, could I interrupt them while they're discussing something up for a vote? And I don't know if that's the president's job to run that, but I think that needs to be cleared up, so.
Mr. Rooney, I can address that specifically. We pay Mr. Clark for his legal advice, and he was providing legal advice to the commissioner on how to make the motion to table.
So we're having a discussion now, right?
You asked a question, I was answering that last question.
So I still don't understand, because if Manager Manfredi interrupts, he goes, I apologize for interrupting. So who's allowed to interrupt? Is any employee
No.
of the township allowed to?
There are two members that are not commissioners that are here who help run the meetings, and that is the manager and the township solicitor.
And they can interrupt our elected commissioners, but nobody else can?
When they're interrupting, they're trying to clarify or to make sure that the meeting continues on track.
Because I just thought Commissioner Weingrad was expressing his opinions as an elected commissioner on item 1D.
He was, but as you saw, Commissioner Weingrad had no objection to the advice that was offered by the solicitor, and we moved forward.
I understand. That's not my point. I think you know that. My point is, who's allowed to interrupt? And so there are some people that are allowed to. If I'm sitting here, is there a point where I'm allowed to interrupt? I don't think that is, and the rules have changed, so I'd like to know, I'd like to be able to read that.
Okay, so.
That's my point, and thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't think you were. I thought you were making a sidebar comment to me.
Now, Mr. Rennie, please take your seat. Are there other members of those who are here in the audience who wish to make a comment? Hearing none, we will transition to those who are attending via Zoom.
Ms. Lehman, your microphone has been unmuted.
Laura Lehman in Meadowbrook, and Mr. Hecker, again, you broke the law. The law allows me to describe the perceived violation, and you did not allow that again. So before my speaking time is done, when 15 seconds are left, I would like you to notify me. And I also, this is not the only illegal thing that's going on in this township. Nearly everything that you are doing is in an illegal manner. There is no way that people from the boards can be chosen by a small group of people without the commissioners even knowing who they are and having any say. So all of the commissioners need to do that, number one, and the business of the people needs to be done in front of the people. I have sat in that room many times and listened to somebody nominate somebody from their ward, the commissioner of the ward nominates them, 3 or 4 people are nominated, and then the voting takes place. It doesn't take place behind the scenes. What you did is you decided who was going to be on the boards, And it was done apparently without any majority. And that's not okay. The business of the people is to be done in front of the people. You also have a manager who is not posting documents. Even the comprehensive plan just got posted late today or tonight. It was not there most of the day, and the meeting is on Monday. So this is not acceptable. And of course, the budget documents and all of the other documents from January 3rd, none of them were posted. And not even given after they weren't posted properly. They were not given. We had to put in a right to know. This is disgusting that this is happening. This is the law that you are supposed to be following, and you have no regard for it. And you just appointed somebody who has no regard for the law. So I am truly worried where my township is going with people that have absolutely no concern even to sit down with somebody and say, let's talk about these things and get them fixed. There is no sense that any of that will happen. And it is sad and it is disgusting, both. We need to have integrity on this Board of Commissioners.
Ms. Lehman, you have 15 seconds.
People's lives are at stake. I am going to invoke again the Sunshine Law at 710C1, and I'm going to tell you that you did interrupt my rights tonight to be able to finish telling you what the problem was that were my speaking rights that were usurped. So because I did not have my speaking rights on January 3rd, and they were taken then, I would have had an opportunity to speak about them again tonight if I had been provided the documents in any timely fashion. Instead, you waited until just before the meeting to dump a pile of documents
Commissioner
again.
Hecker, we've dealt with this previously. The speaker has raised an objection under the Sunshine Act. That does not give the speaker the ability to just speak beyond their allotted time.
I'm telling you what my perceived violation is.
You have raised an objection to the perceived violation. It has been noted, and we can move on that this speaker's time is
It's noted
expired.
when you
Thank
hear
you.
the violation. You
We've
have
heard
to-
it, Ms. Lehman. Thank you. Your time has expired. Please bring in the next resident.
At this time, Stephen Moss, your microphone has been unmuted. You'll need to unmute on your device.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name's Stephen Moss. I reside at Oliver Road in Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania. I'm talking tonight about in regards to my commissioner, Ken Brodsky. He represented us, what was it, for the My Nail project. As pretty much everyone on the board knows that the 6 homes were approved, but it's come to my attention that Ken Brodsky is being shunned to a degree, is what I've been told. Again, maybe it's wrong, but this is what I've been told. With his the way that he dealt with the fellow commissioners on the board. All I can tell you is Ken Brodsky has done nothing but try to help us. He was very nice. We had over 100, probably 150 emails and text messages back and forth. Some he was on, some he was not. He always offered to meet with us. And each and every time, and not once did he, sigh or act like he's doing us a favor. This is what the man was elected to do, and he fought as hard as he possibly could for his constituents. And I just hope that hopefully it's not true what I heard, or maybe it was misunderstood or something. But I just hope you guys don't give him too hard of a time in the future, and realize that he was doing exactly everything that he was voted to do. And that's all.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Moss. Ashley.
Jeanette DeMayo, your microphone has been unmuted.
Yes. Again, I know Ms. Lehman stated the complaint she had in regard to her speaking minutes, whatever. And it's noted, okay, and then nothing ever happens, okay. And also, I also agree with her and others here tonight that, you know, Mr. Zappone was elected. We are the taxpayers. Others were elected. They answer to us, and yet they were not part of choosing these people that were supposed to be, that were elected tonight, okay? And, you know, the net result of all of this is, oh, that's great. You know, you had a streamlined interview process, and oh, it was great talking to these people and everything. Okay, the net result is that you have someone who has conflicts of interest. He's still involved in a lawsuit, and we have a building at York Road that is a high-rise that has no sprinklers in it, and it endangers the lives of the people that live in there. And so you put Mr. Klein back on the board here, and what else can we expect? We're going to put up more buildings like this? I mean, what kind of other deals are going through? I mean, the conflict of interest was unbelievable, and this is an embarrassment to Abington. I just cannot believe what I'm seeing. I mean, I moved here with my husband 2014. I had attended Abington High School. I was so thrilled to be moving into Abington. And now to see what's going on here and the lack of rights for the taxpayers, it is stunning, okay? And, you know, you really can't hold this down forever. People are going to find out about it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Joseph Rozak, your microphone has been unmuted.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, well, thank you very much. My name is Joseph Rozak. I live on Susquehanna Road in Abington. I am sitting here scratching my head. I am very troubled, very troubled. I question the wisdom of the committee, and I extrapolate from that to the entire Board of Commissioners to even consider talking to Mr. Klein for that position. You represent me. I'll need some wisdom in the people who represent me. You should have known this was coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Jacqueline Myers, your microphone has been unmuted.
Hi, this is Jacqueline Myers here at 552 Hoyt Road. I am here to support both my neighbors who are speaking up on behalf of Mr. Brodsky and also Mr. Brodsky himself. I really hope, along with my neighbor Stephen Moss, that it is some kind of rumor that you would in any way mistreat Mr. Brodsky or not include him in committees and things of that nature based on the fact that he took our fear of building 6 homes on that piece of land behind my house, which I am facing right now, that you would ever do anything against him for him representing all of us in this neighborhood that have to live with the fear of 6 homes overbuilt on Minell Road. So I know that we will be looking for each and every one of you should those plans not really work out the way you think they will. That deal should have never been put through in the first place. And now here we are, and Mr. Brodsky takes our cause to heart and works right along with us, unlike the former commissioner that we had, which I'm sure pushed this on through with all of you. And now we hear rumors that there could be a problem with including Mr. Brodsky in a collegial way on the board. I would be beside myself as an Abington resident if that's the kind of games that get played on the Board of Commissioners. I would really like some clarification on that as well at some point when there's time. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
DJ Dietrich, your microphone has been unmuted. You'll just need to unmute on your device.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm following up with Jackie and Stephen Moss, so I won't take too long. I am also in Ward 2, a constituent. Calling on behalf of Mr. Brodsky, I also did hear some rumors that his presentation is being questioned, that some of the board may have thought that he did wrong by the board or wrong by the township. It is our belief in this neighborhood that Mr. Brodsky expressed our point of views last month. He did it in a professional manner, and we don't believe he did anything wrong, and that he presented just our facts. And so hopefully, I'd like to thank you personally, Mr. Brodsky, for everything you've done. We think you did a stand-up job, and we don't think you did anything wrong. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Walter Draving, your microphone has been unmuted. You'll just need to unmute on your device. Walter Draving, your microphone has been unmuted. You will just need to unmute on your device.
That's all right. I don't know how that happened. I didn't raise my hand.
Okay.
Oh, goodness. Richard Veith, your microphone has been unmuted. You will just need to unmute on your device.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, hi, Richard Veith. I live at Old Welsh and Edge Hill Road in Abington. I just would like to add my voice to those that are outraged that Stephen Klein was nominated, much less appointed to a position of responsibility for the township, given the long trail of documentation on his lack of honesty and transparency and frankly ethics with regard to life safety in a building that he was architect for. I'm an architect myself, and I would never put my client's interest over the law, which does govern the cost of renovation and how it triggers such a thing as an upgrade to fire sprinkler. I would never, ever concede to a client to allow a project to go forward without honoring that part of the law. So that by itself just disqualifies him for public service. But the fact that he's the author of the transit-oriented development plan, which is another word for TOD, which is what's has been targeted for Willow Grove and Rubicon Station to allow development in the Willow Grove Park parking lot, which is something I think that we're not prepared to absorb into our community. The fact that he's author of this and that he's been appointed to the zoning hearing board clearly demonstrates to me that this commission is interested in that happening in our community, to see the development and densification around our SEPTA stations. And that's something I'm vehemently opposed to. I live within about a half mile of the Rubicon Station, and I absolutely do not want to see, I did not move to this area to see densification, multifamily housing, and commercial development in a residential neighborhood. So I said my piece, but it really leaves me disgusted that we have commissioners that would make these decisions. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I believe that, correct, Ashley? That was a legacy hand from before?
Yes, everyone on the...
Okay. So that is the end of public comment, and with that, we are adjourned.